It really, I mean, it seems like it's a macro map to me.
Micro.
Macro.
We have Lazy in the left and Mind in the right. I want you to know that obviously we've been working within the StarCraft scene for a long time, and I remember, Artos, the first time you and I were overseas, you were representing the United States in WCG, and I was casting to the global audience, and I discovered how many Europeans did not say micro, they said micro.
Oh, yeah, it's really
Micro.
weird.
But
They also call
he's
it
got some very good
Europe.
micro. Europe. But what about our pointy shoes in Europe?
Yeah. The same pair of black shoes that every single Russian StarCraft player I've ever met wears.
These soccer ball.
It's like almost elf shoes, but not quite.
Yeah. It's got to be pointy.
The thing is, it's pretty fashionable now. Meanwhile, we Americans are just like wearing high tops over there.
I know,
and
right?
stuff like
We're wearing
that.
running shoes.
Skater shoes or something. Like,
The soccer ball you play is not the same as the soccer ball we play.
except they use the word football, yeah.
That's the joke.
I know.
There's at least one angry European guy. It's not how we're like. I don't get sarcasm. Now, in this game, what has Lazy got in store for us? I do wonder how good carriers can be on this map.
Ooh, I don't think it's a carrier map.
Yeah, I
at
don't
all.
think it is.
I think it's very much an arbiter map.
I agree.
Carriers seem like they would, and I don't say this lightly, I don't think carriers would be good here.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big statement coming from me, considering 90% of my games I lose to carriers. But, yeah, I think it's like this is basically a Rax expand or Gate expand or even Nexus first or CC first map. And it's an arbiter map, and it's a macro map. Like,
This is one of the first things a Protoss player will ask himself when he looks at the map is, can I viably tech the carriers? Now, sometimes you can tech the carriers under a different premise, like you're trying to catch them off guard, and it's not really about them knowing about the carriers. Of course, you always want to keep that a secret, but in some cases, they can sort of know you're going carriers, and you're still sort of kind of okay. So we got to wait and see what that's going to be. By the way, Mind did go for a quick command center here.
yeah, the CC first makes a lot of sense. You're either going to go 14 or 16 CC here almost completely, right? 16 would be with the barracks, 14 would be without. As a Protoss, I think it's basically the same type of way. Like, just proxy gates and proxy Raxes, when you get up to really high-level play, doesn't work so well. And, like, especially the proxy Raxes wouldn't work because you expand behind. Like, the most you're going to generally do with that is kill a Nexus, right? If someone goes Nexus first. And if you have to go through that whole main base area, it makes it a lot harder.
So, got to be careful of a good Protoss player with a probe early on in your base, because this can do a lot of damage. It's faster, it gets some momentum a little bit more quickly.
Heals.
It heals. It can build structures that interfere with whatever you're trying to do.
Has range.
Yeah.
Versus absolutely no range. Range 0, which is the thing that makes me the maddest about the SCV. If you have range 0, at least make it a melee unit. Nope. Ranged unit doesn't do damage under Dark Swarm. Range 0.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Now,
isn't that the definition of melee? Hand to hand, if you have range 0, right?
Actually,
if I hit you with the gun, that's a melee attack, right? If I swing it and it's like in my hand, it's the same as if I'm holding like a roll of quarters, okay?
Yeah, or a rock.
We do need a patch, okay? We do need a patch, and it lets SCVs hit under Dark Swarm.
I don't know, man. SCVs are already pretty good, man. 60 HP.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic. That's why Probe can kill 2 while it's in your base.
Yeah, his Tasis probably kills 3, too. It's pretty scary, man. Watch out.
Well, that's only because you stay in the game after I've left. Because I leave it, too. That's it.
So, this is the traditional PvT Nexus first build. You cut a few probes here and there, but you get the 2 gateways up. I don't know if this is the way you want to do it, though, against somebody who went for command center first, though. I don't think you need the 2 gateways up right away.
Agreed.
I think that there's a better way to do this.
Well, I think he's doing a stock build. He was just having this plan from the get-go. But yeah, you're super right, where it's like if he's going CC first, hell, make a 3rd Nexus.
Yeah, you know exactly.
Why are you making units right now? Why are you
I'm
are you
glad we're on
making
the
3
same page
Dragoons to What are you going to do? Are you going to walk all the way across the map? He's going to have a battle cruiser by the time you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're going to attack up that ramp? Like, no, you're not going to do anything.
Well, usually you even get those 3 Dragoons out because you're trying to stop like a one-base guy who's going to come at you with like 4 SCVs and a bunch of Marines and a tank. But yeah, I think getting a 3rd Nexus is just the way to do it.
I agree.
To dead! Party's over. Takes that out. Now, Mind, I'd say overall, I give him a little bit of a lead here. I like the build he's using, but it's not anything tremendous.
Yeah.
Now with these units, he is going to move across the map and probably try to make it a little bit trickier. Now look at this. Now this is a really cute
2-base carrier. That is.
Yeah.
This is kind of what you were talking about before, where you can kind of this is actually going to possibly work out super well because it's a 3rd command center from Mind. If I'm Mind here, I think he just took a 3rd Nexus. It only makes sense. You saw me go CC first.
Yeah.
You went Nexus first. You'll just make another Nexus. And he is making another Nexus, but this is like, this will really, truly catch you off guard.
Yeah, and he's checking the main here for what the tech is going to be. Now, one thing that you can give this away right away is if you just don't see enough gates, you can keep scanning and be like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, with this exact... Okay, so he used both his scans just now. This is so lucky for Lazy. He scans the main base. When you see 2 gateways with your initial scan, it generally means 3rd Nexus. And they'll be adding the gates like right around the time you're scanning. And then he scanned the front instead of the back. So, right now, Mind is probably thinking, okay, you got like your Robo at the back natural, that's fine, whatever. You know, that's where you're going to build your observers out of. But instead, it's carriers that he has not scouted. Look at that. That turret, what's that going to do? That going to fight off those carriers later? No, he has no idea. So, I think Lazy has a very good chance of winning this. If you don't scout this until they have 4 carriers, you lose.
The problem is if it is spotted still, it's a very easy response from Terran. They just make an armory and they only make Goliaths. And they kind of pretty much just win. But this is cute here from Lazy. Now this definitely does seem like a pre-packaged build, right? Like he was going to do this no matter what. There's the Bengalos, by the way, we saw floating in that area. It's
the trapped ones.
The trapped Bengalos that are hungry for fresh meat from foiled drops.
Not going to be any drops this day.
Yeah.
By the way, this actually plays well against Mind specifically because Mind is actually just known as a brainy Terran, an intelligent Terran. So he just, like, for instance, his 3rd CC, that only makes sense because he's like, I know how you should play. But like Tasis and I were talking about, the way that you probably should not play is carriers because it's just all open ground. Like the Goliaths are going to be able to chase those down pretty easily. The areas are wide enough.
I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier because I think we might have confused some people because we said it's not a carrier map, but usually that's like, okay, so you went for like solid, getting your 4th base, you're getting your Stargate up, and I detect it, and then they manage to hold it. But this is like sort of like a form of a cheese almost.
Yeah. It is. It is a cheese. Okay, he finally scans it, and he scans it when the first 2 carriers are popping.
So there's still a chance.
There's still time for him. Like he can still absolutely win this game, but. It is going to get a little bit messy, a little bit tricky, just because playing against carriers can be tough if your opponent micros them well and is kind of annoying with them. Looks like he's going to send them immediately across the map.
Now, wait, I'm sorry, he has only 2 though, right? That's not 4. Okay.
2.
Yeah, just double checking. I got confused. There's 2 Dragoons moving at the bottom of the map. I thought those were 2 other carriers, just something weird about that. By the way, seems like Protoss might have some ambitions on expanding to the bottom center, which actually can be quite good with carriers because you can kind of hit the Terran's natural and still defend an expansion if that's what he decides to do.
Now, 2 carriers is not really all that scary.
2 carriers, actually, you just make turrets and they have to leave.
Yeah, like...
In fact, I actually think this is not going to work anymore, I don't think. If Terran is worth his weight in anything, he should be okay.
It can still be a little bit difficult to play against carriers, right? Like, and he's getting a lot of bases. If he just goes into Zealot legs...
This is where you're seeing the bias of me and Artosis, where I'm like, when I try this, it sometimes doesn't work, and then Artosis is like, when I see this, sometimes I still die.
Yeah, you can still die to this as Terran. And, in fact, I think that there's a good chance that he will. Like, his upgrades are good. This is what he's going to have to rely on to win this game. He really got his 2-1 going very, very, very early, so that's good. But, yeah, we'll see how many carriers he ends up making because there's a lot of tricks with this. Like, first off, once you get to a certain number of carriers, as long as you have cliffs that you're near, it takes
kill everything.
forever to kill the carriers with Goliaths, right? Like, you have to kind of kill interceptors and bleed them of minerals a lot of the time.
Right.
But if he just adds a ton of gateways, gets Zealot legs, you cut a lot of your other units. Like you were saying, you make a lot of Goliaths as soon as you see this. But that means your Zealots can get to the siege tanks more quickly. And Goliaths alone are so bad against gateway units. They are just so awful against gateway units.
You basically just don't want to have them. Excuse me. You just don't want to have them. Now, one thing to note is that Goliaths in an open field will beat carriers. You just run underneath them. If you have enough of them, you win very handily. But what Artos is saying is correct, is that if they've overmade Goliaths and you just switch into ground, like Zealots with legs and Dragoons, it's really problematic for the Terran to deal with. You know, it's very, very hard.
Like, look at this little group of anti-air. The Protoss units are right near here. So if he engages those, he's going to lose a ton of Goliaths for free. Okay, only sends a couple Marines, so that's good. Sees where those carriers are, that's good as well. But
sometimes that's half the battle, is finding out where that is so you know how to respond. Yes. Now, even though carriers can be very daunting, especially if you're new to the game and you counter them, where you find out how powerful they are, enough turrets can actually just drive out carriers. The interceptors just die.
Yeah, until they hit like 10 carriers, if you have a bunch of turrets, it's fine. And that's actually what he's done too. He's turreted up his main a lot, which makes perfect sense because the amount of time it would take him to walk back in his main to save it would be way too long. That'd be very tough.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty bad Achilles heel there for the Terran. So he's going to try to do a push where he's going to rotate through the map from bottom to left all the way to the upper left, wiping out all these bases. And you know, this Terran army, you got to respect it. It's very heavily upgraded.
Yeah,
and here come those carriers now.
Look at how many charge lots he has. He's starting to get a real decent number here. If he can save this base, if he kills this army, he's going to win the game. Lazy is. Like, all he needs to do is kill this one army one time. This is so Goliath heavy. He's actually looking like he's going to counterattack. That's interesting.
I suppose he can probably run up here and take out the natural or something. I don't know why he's countering. That is weird.
Yeah, I feel like he should have just massed and killed that army, because if you kill that one time, I feel like that's just a victory. But now he's like basically lost a base. What has he done with this run around?
He has done nothing. He has achieved absolutely nothing with this.
Yeah, he's making the Terran units kind of turn around, but that doesn't even really matter because he wants to rally in more units anyways to it.
Oh, Lazy's having a bad day here, man. And let's see though. Let's see if he can't take him on here.
Ooh, this army's getting really good, man. 2-1 upgrades and everything.
Again, there are not really a lot of vultures with this army.
No.
Sometimes with the carriers, you actually want to target down the tanks.
Yes.
Like we see here.
Very, very true. You work down that siege tank count. That's the most gas-heavy unit right there. You don't want to just be picking off Goliaths. That's like what they're kind of spamming out. Okay, picks off one there, but most of the ground army dies. Ooh, this is a nice little group of Zealots killing some of the reinforcing units.
Protoss is now retreating. Mind has not taken that upper right base yet. That being said, Protoss is still on even bases to the Terran. I think he messed up when he went to the upper right. I think you're 100% correct, Artos. That just seemed like a kind of weird, almost like a freak-out move.
Yeah, and the reinforcement, like, if he had the entire army and just waited, like, he can still even lose that base. But if he kills that army, like those 6 siege tanks that are there and then all those Goliaths, to remake that, it's just always a true thing that we talk about. Like, you lose your siege tanks, that's like the worst thing ever.
I want to point out what we just saw there. We saw him attack the gateway, and some people were like, "Oh, what is he doing?" When you first get a carrier out, and you start the very first time when you have all your interceptors ready and you fire, they come out one by one. It's really weird.
You can make the yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
but if you attack, but after that attack, all the interceptors come out at once. So a lot of times you'll see a Protoss player fire on the gateways to get them all. You have to
basically the interceptors fly underneath the carrier a lot of the time too. So yeah, it's a really smart move that he does right there. He knows how to make those carriers. There's actually like an upgrade to make them launch quicker and stuff. It's like they really do launch quite slow.
Is there? Why do I not know that? I guess I haven't played it so long. I don't think so.
Crazy?
I don't think that's correct. There's an upgrade that gives you more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't remember this correctly. Anyways.
But this push is coming down here for Terran in the center left. And he needs to have enough on the ground here. Now he has to target down these tanks. He's doing a great job The Goliaths cannot hold their own against Dragoons as long as the Dragoons stay out of range of the tanks. Storm is another great thing to have along with this if you can use it. Because you just storm the Goliaths like they're Hydralisks.
You're so right about that. If you have Storm, the Goliaths just completely evaporate.
I want to point out the difference here between Mine versus Flash. If Flash is doing this, I think he would have handled this so well he would have crushed him, but you can see Mine's having a hard time. And I think you might be right, Artosis. I think that he might have enough lazy will to actually win this game. He's got those Templars there.
But there is a 4th base for Mine, so if he really keeps his macro up... Oh, moves like that are amazing.
Boom! Takes out
Just
that one
barely snaps that carrier now.
Gotta be really careful. And notice that Mine's remaking enough vultures here. He can actually dive on some of these Templars. Good control by Lazy. Drives that back out. Now the Nexus is done, although Terran can't quite kill it yet. But Terran has got a pretty good foothold here on this map.
We're going to be able to erase this expansion once again. And Lazy is kind of walking north. I want him to kill this army, though. This is like such an important thing about playing against Terran. If you can kill an entire army and they kind of have to start over, you have to be very careful with Terran to have the right unit balance. And what he's doing is he's running in for a counterattack, but that makes the army come back, but then he also gets that free reinforcement, right?
Right.
So his army is just bigger and bigger and bigger. The smallest his army is going to be is the one that's over and just killed his 4th base again.
These Templars are also very susceptible to vultures sniping them.
Yes.
Mine is going to try to box in this base this army over here. And now with these Templars being gunned down, I think Lazy may have thrown this game.
Yeah, I think that this game was very winnable for Lazy, or at least it could have been a lot closer. I mean, Mine definitely played well, but I think that these unit movements, these kind of half-assed counterattacks that Lazy was doing just were not the way to win this game.
And especially if Terran gets too much of the map, as strong as carriers might be, they can't run everywhere and kill everything.
Oh, they're very slow.
They're very, very slow. I see we have some DTs incorporated in here. Sometimes, if you run through the Terran spaces and take out all their CCs or command centers, you can then win with DTs. But yeah, I mean, this looks pretty straightforward. He's got some upgrades on his interceptors. Let's see. Is there enough over here? Right now, Lazy has to win this fight. I'm not sure if he can do it.
He might wipe the Goliaths just barely here.
It's kind of a weird tightrope walk over here for the Protoss and the Terran, because even if you take out all their Goliaths, suddenly then Terran loses everything. If you take out all their tanks, suddenly, as long as Protoss has enough on the ground, then Terran loses everything again. It's kind of crazy.
He's doing some really good micro right here. This is really well done by Lazy.
This takes a lot of effort on the Protoss' part to control this right.
He cannot bring his army forward, though. There's enough siege tanks there that it will just not pay off at all. If he gets a big round of Zealots, he could attack in with that then, but these Dragoons have to stay back.
Behind this, Mind is... Oop, had a little lag spike.
There was a disconnect.
I know,
right
it's like, wow.
Oh my god.
We can resume from replay and remastered, right? Oh, Lazy just taps out.
I don't
GG.
think so. Fairly certain